Yes, we're live now, Chair.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen and members of the public, and welcome tonight to a virtual meeting of our council as per our agenda dated the 27th of January. As with other public bodies and with the lowering of our flag at Matlock, I suggest we now have a minute's silence for Colonel Sir Tom Moore and everything he's done in this rather unusual time of COVID-19 and the pandemic. So if we're all please muted, I'll mute myself, and then I'll mute myself when we've marked our respect. Thank you.
Do you want your waistcoat?
Huh?
Do you want your waistcoat?
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Right, item one, apologies, please, Angela. I've lost you. But you're there.
Bright, McDonough, Pawley and Swindle.
Right, so that's 4 apologies. Any other apologies? None noted. Could we have the roll call then, please, Angela? So if all members could say present, please.
Councillor Allison.
Present.
Archer.
Present.
Atkin.
Present.
Buckler.
Present.
Ball.
Present.
Martin Burfoot.
Present.
Sue Burfoot.
Present.
So
Present, probably.
Chapman.
Present.
Can't hear you, Angela.
Cruz.
Present.
Donnelly.
Present.
Elliott.
Present.
Fitzherbert.
Present.
Flitter.
Present.
Froggatt.
Present.
Furness.
Present.
Campbell.
Here.
Hill.
Present.
Hobson.
Present.
Hughes.
Present.
Lees.
Present. Can anyone hear me?
Tony Morley.
Present.
Jell Morley.
Present.
O'Brien.
Present.
Birdie.
Present.
Ratcliffe.
Here.
Raw. Councillor Raw.
Sorry, present, yeah.
Rose. I've seen him. Salt.
Here.
Shirley.
Present.
Slack.
Present.
Statham.
Here.
Sutton.
Present.
Wayne.
Present.
Have we had Wakeman?
I'm here.
Okay, Wakeman is here. Is that everybody?
That's it, thank you.
Thank you, jolly good. Okay, moving on to public participation. We have 2 members of the public who have submitted submissions, and Jim's going to put them up on the screen. The first one is about item 4, the motion on test and to trace support payment schemes. One's from Dr. Mike Pedler, local resident. And Secondly, there's another one, please, Jim, from Patricia Rock, a resident, and we'll be discussing all this in the motion at item 4. Okay, thank you very much, members of the public, those two members for their submissions. Item 3, interest. I've had none tabled, nor has Secretariat. Is there anything? Anything? No. So we can move on to the proposal of a notion of motion as a rule of procedure 7, as on the second page of our agenda. Procedurally, just to remind members, officers, have because it's a motion, no place in the debate. And I do gather that many members have been asking questions prior to the debate, hence the motion. I'd like to ask Councillor Cruz to introduce the motion, please. Councillor Cruz.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'm just wondering if we're going to project something on the screen, or do I lead with some comments first?
Comments that will probably come up. Yeah, you can. Okay. You crack on.
I'll crack on. Thank you, Chair. So, firstly, to say thanks very much for everybody attending this evening. This is an important issue. Providing support to residents who have to isolate is critical to preventing the transmission of this horrible disease. I'm confident all members understand the importance of providing what support we can to reduce the risk of transmission and to assist our residents avoid financial hardship. If someone has symptoms or has been asked to isolate by NHS track and trace, it's important that they have the financial support to do this. It is also important to recognise the good work this council has done across all government schemes to support businesses and residents through this pandemic. We have a very good team who are working hard for our residents. It's also important to note, though, as detailed in the briefing, that the take-up of the discretionary payments is low in our authority, and there seems to be a positive consensus from officers and members to do something about this. So in terms of this evening's motion, we've worked with officers to develop a more specific motion to enable rapid action on this important issue. The detailed motion removes the criteria relating to council tax support and only uses the criteria set by government, which we are, of course, obliged to follow. We're also proposing that the fund is topped up by £10,000 to ensure there is good level of coverage, with delegation for further £5,000 if needed. This is within the affordability of the council's budget and will run until the 31st of March. We're hopeful this simplification of the criteria and extra funding will see the scheme being more widely used. I'd like to recognise Karen Hendrickson for preparing a detailed and helpful briefing paper with some thoughtful suggestions as to how we can improve the process and uptake in the scheme. Both Karen and Paul Ratcliffe have worked very professionally, providing expertise and advice for this enhanced motion. I also wanted to take the opportunity to highlight the positive cross-party working. So Councillor Purdy, as council leader, has been supportive of action and working together on this topic. Also to Councillor Radcliffe and Buttle, and for the support of their groups. And also to Steve Flitter and my own group for their support in working together on this. I think a positive conclusion tonight will reduce the risk of transmission, help reduce the number of residents who suffer from this illness, and help reduce the burden on the NHS, and ultimately will save lives. I think that's the important thing that we need to come back to. So I'm optimistic we can have an efficient discussion and a positive conclusion. I really thank everybody for your contributions and support. Thank you very much.
Councillor Atkin.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair. I'm very happy to support this, but I'll give way to Councillor Ratcliffe.
Councillor Ratcliffe.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Certainly, I'm going to support the motion. Just before I say what I would like to address you with, I think it's extremely salutary to note the news this evening that when the furlough scheme finishes, there is likely to be an increase of over 7% in the unemployment rate. The reason I called for this meeting and support this motion is a simple one. I felt it to be in the best interests of our residents. Not the majority, but that significant minority who are caught up in the financial turmoil of COVID. In my opinion, the mark of a good authority lies in its willingness to re-examine its policies when necessary. And this current test and trace discretionary payment scheme has been shown to have poor outcomes, realising a low approval rate. I won't go into the figures, but they're shown in the excellent members' briefing paper produced by our responsible officers. But what we need to do now, of course, is focus on the future and produce a more flexible policy. The government provided with us a small finance grant of some 18,000, sufficient for about 36 successful applicants to receive one-off payments of £500 to cover their expenses during a mandatory 14-day self-isolation period subsequent to being tested COVID positive. It is, in my view, certainly possible for us to increase our financial support for this, if deemed necessary, by drawing on a further 10,000 from our reserves, thereby increasing the overall numbers to 56. In my view, hardly a high risk and certainly comparable to the many other financial commitments that we have made over this last year. But more than anything here is a principle of accepting that we have something of a moral duty to look after the low paid and impoverished in our communities, who through no fault of their own, but because of the circumstances of the pandemic, are finding themselves in financial hardship. And this is surely the prime consideration when it comes to eligibility or payment. A flexible and compassionate approach, a policy that can be seen to be fair and less prescriptive. I'm often reminded of that aphorism, if you like, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I welcome the attention that our responsible officers, Karen Hendrickson and Paul Radcliffe, have given to these suggestions, and I'm happy to put my faith in their financial acumen, their deliberation and recommendations that are before you through Councillor Cruz and myself. And we can now be more reassured that the outcomes of this revised scheme truly reflects our council's desire to assist the low paid and hard-working families in Derbyshire Dales who might otherwise suffer financial hardship. I ask for your support.
Thank you very much, Councillor Ratcliffe, for seconding the motion. Thank you very much. I'm looking for hands up. Oh, I want to look here. Can I go to Councillor Hobson?
Chair, I'm also happy to support the motion. As Councillor Cruz has stated, you know, our finance team have been very busy at the moment dealing with so many grants and working so hard for all our residents and businesses. So I'm happy that Karen and her team would have brought this information to full council at the earliest opportunity and have full confidence that this council and its members have the best interests of our community at the heart of everything that they do. I support the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Chapman.
Thank you, Chair. I have a further proposal to make, and a proposal which will show the commitment of the councillors on this council. I suggest that to add to this fund that every councillor forgoes their February allowance, which I calculate will be somewhere around £10,000, and add that to the fund.
Thank you very much for that, Councillor Chapman. Councillor Purdy.
Thank you, Chair. Well, it's really good to see different groups meeting together, coming together on this. And I have to tell you from my perspective what's happened. And of course, the response we gave to Councillor O'Brien on the 21st of January was correct at that time, given the government guidance at that time. But I was contacted by Karen about a week later to be alerted to different government guidance, which showed to me that we could open the door. Then Councillor Cruz contacted me. I formulated a motion on my own on the 29th to start thinking about putting it around. And I'm led to understand from Karen that if we hadn't have acted, as members hadn't have acted, then Karen would have brought it to attention anyway. So we're all coming together from different places, but to the same joint place. And that is, as Councillor Ratcliffe has said, to have concern and care for our vulnerable. I have to say that I think the government have given unprecedented amount of monies during this pandemic. Phenomenal. I wouldn't like to catch the debt for it further down the line. But it also goes without saying that there's some anomalies. This is one where they haven't quite got it right. And there are, unfortunately, some that will fall through the hoop. And I have stretched out before to people and said, look, if you know of any of these cases, please let us know. And so that please there again, it's important that we try and catch those at the bottom end of the market. So I'm grateful to Councillor Cruz for contacting me. I'm pleased that we've all come together on the same hymn sheet, and obviously I fully support it, Chair.
Councillor Slack.
Thank you, Chair. I thank Councillor Cruz and Councillor Radcliffe for bringing this motion forward. I fully support this motion, and I'm very pleased that all the councils in agreement, looks to be in agreement to it. I've no problem to put in the amendment that Councillor has just put, that we put as February salary to this cause. I have no problem with that.
That isn't
I support that motion.
Right. Well, I'm not quite sure if that's a motion. I think it's a suggestion
amendment
from David, from Councillor Chapman, and we may need to do some more work on that, maybe outside of this meeting. But anyway, I accept your point there. Carry on. Sorry.
I would, Chair. Yeah, I support Councillor Chapman's amendment. Yes, it's a very hard time for everyone, and especially if you've, in the category where you've relying on wages every week, every month to come in to have to isolate. That's been one of the big problems, because a lot of people haven't been isolated. They've been going out to work when they shouldn't have done. So this will help to secure people while they isolating. So I'm fully supportive of this, Chair.
Okay.
Thank
you very much. Councillor O'Brien, next. If you just come off mute.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry about that.
Okay.
I've prepared several versions of what I was going to say tonight over the past week, and I'm delighted to be able to say a few words this evening. I suspect that very few of us know what it's actually like to have to self-isolate for 10 days and receive no pay. And I think whether you earn 10,000, 20,000 or 40,000 a year and then spend 2 weeks with nothing, you would begin to understand what financial hardship means. So, like others, I believe the proposal before us this evening is the best possible response from this council. It will help families avoid unnecessary financial hardship and will help to continue to drive down the rate of coronavirus infections. So I too want to take this opportunity to thank Team Karen and Paul Radcliffe for their work behind the scenes, Paul Cruz, Jackie Allison and Mike Ratcliffe for helping to bring this proposal forward initially, and of course Team Gary for their support in making it happen.
Thank you very much. I've got Councillor Raw next, please. Where are you? If you hold on, I think you're on mute.
My laptop, okay. Yes, it was just in response to David Chapman's suggested amendment. I'm up for that, but I think it might be easier for people in terms of budgets and things if it was spread out either across the year or split into 2 payments and taking half out of March and half out of April.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Can I suggest, actually, Councillor Chapman, that we might do a little bit more work on that behind the scenes, and then it comes through so people can think about, their budgets as well. I think that might be the fairest way of doing it. Are you in agreement with that, Councillor Chapman?
I'm in agreement with that, Chair. but I don't want it to get pushed to the side.
That's absolutely fine. Well, we can bring it as a motion another time or something. I think that might be a better way of
Could we not agree on? Could we not put it forward as a motion with the proviso of we you know, it's an opt-in if people want to do it, and we work out how it will be managed in terms of people putting that money in.
I think what we could do, I mean, as you know, lots of other people do support other local charities, which are not specifically for this, but for other sectors of our community. And I think we need to perhaps do a little bit more work on that. I accept your point, Councillor Raw. I just want to go back to Councillor Chapman, what he thinks.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think we should bring it back to the council, but with perhaps a bit more meat or a bit more of a proposal, rather than do it just on the hoof. I think.
Chair, can I just interject briefly?
Yes,
just to give advice on this. I would be uncomfortable about council making a decision on this tonight.
Yeah.
I think it's fine to agree in principle, or if you agree the principle that it's up to individual members whether they wish to make that deduction from their allowance. But to impose it, I would want to take some further advice from legal colleagues on that before you determine that, because you may materially disadvantage a member that could find themselves in financial difficulty.
Okay, so I think we agree to discuss it further later on. I've got Councillor Martin Burfoot. Now, Councillor Flitter has left the meeting. I'm sorry to see you leave, but we've hopefully the motion is on the table. Councillor Martin Burfoot.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I want to support the original motion as proposed by Paul Crews, and I support everything he said and what Councillor Ratcliffe said as well. And also applaud the efforts that Karen Henriksen and Paul Ratcliffe have put into this, in all the extra work to give advice to Paul Crews in particular and others in terms of the wording of this motion, because it's obviously been quite a challenge for them in a very short time. But one thing that hasn't been said too much, in fact, is about the items 5 and 6. And I think it's very important. I know Councillor Crews wanted to include this, that members should be provided with weekly reports to show how much is being contributed in these payments, both the main one from the government and the discretionary payments as well from this council, and also information on the website. I think that's very important. I think we've got to keep residents, our communities, informed as much as possible about what this council is doing in this respect, in terms of relieving hardship caused by this awful pandemic, and particularly those who are suffering because of, as has been said, being forced to self-isolate for a period of time, which means they could lose a certain proportion of their income. So I warmly welcome this motion. And in terms of David Chapman's amendment, yes, I support that in principle. I probably would go along more with what Councillor Raw said in terms of it being opt-in.
Okay, we'll come to that. We'll come to that at another meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Gamble.
Actually, just a couple of things really. I was just going to say about the Councillor Chapman thing. I mean, we can put it down to the loft, but obviously this scheme is going to end at the end of March. I'm a little bit conscious of that. So I would wonder if the best thing would be just to make it a voluntary thing for those members that wanted to do.
Okay, well, we'll come back to that. I think we're.
And then just another thing, so going on from what Councillor Burfoot said, really. Yes, updates on the website as to what's been given out would be really good. But also using the website to really encourage people to come forward. To try and publicise this as much as possible. We want as many as people who have been contacted on to track and trace or had symptoms to self-isolate and try and get the information out. Which I'm speaking to Paul Ratcliffe. I know he's very keen on that. And again, thanks to Karen and Paul for all the work that I know they've put into that.
Okay, thank you very much. I've got nobody else. So I'd like to go back to Councillor Crews to sum up his motion.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair. I think it's been good to hear from all the other members. There seems to be strong consensus to move forward with the motion, which I think is absolutely fantastic. So thank you, colleagues. And just to come back to Councillor Chapman's suggestion, yes, in principle, of course, I support that too. Just to put that on the record, I think it's a good idea, but I do think it just needs to be finessed a little. So yeah, they're my sort of concluding comments. Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you very much. We now go to the vote. Angela, please.
Right, Councillor Allison.
For.
Archer.
For.
Atkin.
For.
Buckler.
For.
Can't hear you, Angela.
Councillor Bull.
For.
Martin Burfoot.
For.
Sue Burfoot.
For.
Buttle.
For.
Chapman.
For.
Cruz.
For.
Donnelly.
For.
Elliott.
For.
Turbot.
For.
Flitter. Oh, left, right. Froggatt.
For.
Furness.
For.
Gamble.
For.
Hill.
For.
Hobson.
For.
Hughes.
For.
Lees.
For.
Tony Morley.
For.
Michelle Morley.
For.
O'Brien.
For.
Goody.
For.
Ratcliffe.
For.
Raw.
For.
Rose.
Councillor Rose. Councillor Lewis Rose. We'll come back to him.
I can't get through.
We can hear you, Lewis.
Yes, for.
Thank you.
Salt.
For.
Shirley.
For.
Slack.
For.
Statham.
For.
Sutton.
For.
Wayne.
For.
Wakeman.
For.
I think that's unanimous. Thank you
That's
very much.
unanimous, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we've got an extra item here now that hopefully you've all seen on your emails this evening. Has been a late matter of business that we need to conduct tonight, please, ladies and gentlemen. Item 5, it's about Winster, and I'm going to ask James to introduce it, please, with a bit of background, if you haven't seen the note. James.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, members, for considering this report tonight. I have circulated it to all members this afternoon, and a copy of it is on the council's website. Essentially, what we're asking for is to enable the council to fulfil its statutory duty to appoint members to Winster Parish Council, which is currently in quorate and unable to act. There have been a number of resignations from the Parish Council recently. There are only 2 members left on the Parish Council, and Section 91 of the Local Government Act 1972 gives power to this council to appoint temporary councillors until such a time as an election or co-option can take place. So the recommendation is to delegate authority to myself to do that, rather than calling a further extraordinary council meeting to do this business. So what has taken place in the last week or so is that the parish has become inquorate, and they have advised that they have a number of bills that they need to pay, and the precept for the parish also needs to be set shortly. So they've requested that we consider making appointments to the parish council. I've liaised with Councillor Swindell as the relevant ward member and political group leaders around the approach that we should adopt. And I've also spoken with the Chief Officer of the Derbyshire Association of Local Councils, and we have a number of people who have expressed an interest in potentially going on to the Parish Council. So subject to you agreeing to delegate authority this evening, in the coming days over the next week, we should be able to make those appointments and enable the Parish Council to act. In terms of the vacancies, a request has been received from 10 electors in the parish for those vacancies to be filled by election. And as members will be aware, the Coronavirus Act prevents elections from taking place until the 6th of May at the earliest. There is still some uncertainty as to whether that election will take place on that date. So in the event that the election is delayed, then it seems sensible to appoint a number of parish council, appoint a number of members to serve as parish councillors until those vacancies can be filled by election. Chair, I think what I've said probably covers everything, and the report has been circulated, so I'm happy to take any questions through you. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, I'll go to Sue Bull first. Councillor Bull.
Yes, thank you, Chair. No questions. I think it's all self-explanatory within the short report to it, and I'm quite happy to move this recommendation to give the authority to James to do what's necessary to get the Winchester Parish Council quorate so that they can continue their business until they are able to put up and have an election. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Allison.
Thank you, Chair. I have a question. Obviously, been aware of being involved with some process that took place in November regarding Winchester Parish Council. Has the clerk been reinstated?
I'm not sure how much of this James can comment about, but anyway, I'll ask James.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Councillor. The clerk has returned to work recently and is in post at the moment.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Councillor, did you want to second it?
No.
Okay, fair enough. Councillor Atkin.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair. I'm quite happy to second this because half of my family come from Winchester, and I wouldn't like to see Winchester without any sort of representation on the parish council. So I'm quite happy to second the motion, Chair.
Thank you very much. Councillor Slack.
Thank you, Chair. I was going to second it, Chair, but
I beg your pardon.
I'm pleased that James is going to oversee everything. So I support this.
Councillor Waitman.
Yes, it's okay, Chair. I was only going to second it. It's okay.
Lovely. Thank you very much. I think we've got anybody else. We'll have to have a recorded vote as before. Please, Angela, please.
Councillor Allison.
Abstain.
Archer.
For.
Atkin.
For.
Buckler.
Abstain.
Abstain. Councillor Bull.
For.
Martin Burfoot.
For.
Sue Burfoot.
For.
Buttle.
For.
Chapman.
For.
Cruz.
For.
Donnelly.
For.
Elliott.
For.
Fitzherbert.
For.
Froggatt.
For.
Furness.
For.
Gamble.
Abstain.
Hill.
For.
Hobson.
For.
Hughes.
For.
Lees.
For.
Tony Morley.
For.
Michelle Morley.
For.
O'Brien.
For.
Birdie.
For.
Ratcliffe.
For.
Raw.
Abstain.
Rose.
For.
Salt.
For.
Shirley.
For.
Slack.
For.
Statham.
For.
Sutton.
For.
Wayne.
For.
Hickman.
For.
Okay, I think the motion is carried. I think that
Yeah, 34 and 4 abstain.
34 for and 4 abstentions. That sounds
Yeah,
rather
30.
too many. Oh, 30, 33,
30.
one more than 29.
30.
Yeah, I beg your pardon. Thank you very much. Okay, Thank you very much for that. Item 6 is sealing of documents. Councillor Sutton, would you like to propose that?
I'll propose that, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Councillor Wakeman, would you like to second the sealing of documents?
Yes, please, Chair.
Thank you very much. That's from the Bakewell contingent. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Show of hands, I beg your pardon. Show of hands, sealing of documents. That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We'll let the officers have, hopefully get some kit tonight and back, all of them back to hard work tomorrow. Good luck, everyone, and we'll see you all on, I think, March the 4th is the next one. Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you, Chair.
Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.